How's it going, everyone? My name is Reed, and welcome to Storytime. Today we're going to be reading some pro-revenge stories, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. They want my money? Oops. In World War II, my Uncle Hodge was an engineer with the RAF. He rapidly climbed the ranks and ended up being the head engineer at a local base. After the war, he met his wife of 45 years, Eve. It was the typical post-war relationship, without children though due to complications. He quickly found a job at our village coal mine, known locally as the Pit. He went from engineer to foreman very quickly. The man had a knack for leadership, that's for sure. He, Eve, some of his RAF buddies, his sister, and my grandmother often went to Spain for the holidays. At least once per year before they all retired, after that, whenever they felt like it. The family. The unfortunate truth is that family isn't always nice. My grandmother was his only surviving direct family. Eve, on the other hand, had a large family. Very large. The trouble with large families is that often there's a few bad eggs. In this case, it was quicker to count the good ones. As Hodge would put it, the trouble with eggs is you can only tell the good ones by spinning them quick or dunking them in water. And I don't fancy going to prison. More often than not, Eve's family would drop by and ask to borrow money. Not from Eve, she had none. Hodge had always been industrious, saving as much as he could and only really spending what he had to, other than the holidays, of course. The incident. When I hit 18, legal drinking age in the UK, he took me for my first beer as my dad worked nights and had to sleep. He didn't drink, which was uncommon for him, as he was a regular at the working men's club we were in. Me. Hodge, how come you're not drinking? I can't in good conscience drink your money without you getting a sniff. Hodge, well, I suppose one can't hurt. Don't tell Nip, his name for my grandmother Sheila. But I've been diagnosed with diabetes type 2. Don't want to take any chances. Me, I'll keep your secret, but you need to tell her, just on the off chance. Hodge, I'll tell her in good time, kiddo. Now get it down before it goes flat. Neither of us took much notice in the people around us, so we didn't notice Eve's nephew in the corner. 5 years pass. I've seen him a few times, less than I'd like, because of work and him going overseas. The build-up. I visited my grandparents one day to find my grandmother sobbing, with Hodge sat on the sofa. Hodge, put the kettle on, kid. I need to tell you something. I make a coffee for Gran and Granddad, hot chocolate for me, and green tea for Hodge. Hodge, now listen up. I've not got long on this wretched planet, but you're not going to cry over me. I've been diagnosed with late-stage cancer and couldn't be freaking happier to be leaving. To Gran. Sorry, Nip. I know you don't want to hear this, but it has to be said. You and all yours will be looked after, of course, but you're not going to tell Eve and her family. To everyone. I've made up a new will. I want everyone to go to the reading. I've prepared a little gift for the family. Shortly after this chat, we found out he passed away. We kept it from my grandmother that he'd taken his own life. It'd destroy her. Let it be said that Hodge was always a man independent of others. He made his choice so Gran wouldn't suffer seeing him deteriorate over time. The revenge. We went to the reading as a family like he asked. It's the only thing he ever asked of us. We'd seen people we never met, never even heard of, so of course, there were some sullen scowls across the table. Lawyer. Now that we're all here, please watch this video. Hodge has a message for you all. Hodge from beyond. Now then, I imagine this will be a shock to most of you, but I had cancer. If you're watching this, I want you to know that some of you made my last few years pleasant. Others, well, we'll get to you. To my side of the family. Not one of you came to me asking if I was alright or wanted anything doing. Instead, you asked if I wanted a hand with anything. For this, I thank you. I've never had anyone do anything for me unless they were my underlings in the RAF, and I didn't aim to start when I found out I was on my way out. You knew better than most of my close family. I'll tell you if something's wrong. Good on you. Now then, let's get to the good bit. To Eve's family. You lot. Where do I even begin? When I took our Nip's grandson out for his first pint, apparently the walls have ears, and one of you overheard me tell him I had diabetes. Shame you had to say, it's a shame it wasn't cancer. Guess you got your wish, huh? The rest of you. Whenever you visited me, you asked me often than not if you could borrow money. It's fine, I didn't mind lending it to you, but I did expect to get it back. So, here's how this is going to work. I've split my money and put it in trust with my oldest friend, the lawyer. Nobody is getting a thing till Eve pops her clogs, so don't bother asking. Eve can stay in the house I worked my butt off for until she either dies or has to go into care for any reason. The house is not to be sold until after she dies. Lazy as she is, she's still my wife. Once she dies, the house is to be sold at a reasonable price to the next owners, and the money from that is to be added to the total for my finances and split with the family. Eve's is her own and she can do with it what she wants, other than add it to my total. Lawyer has been left instructions on this. Now, here's how it'll be split. If you've borrowed money from me and paid it back, you'll get a fair share based on your age at the time of my death. If you haven't repaid the money you borrowed, you'll still get a cut, minus what you owe me. For some of you, I hope you know I'm laughing at your squirming from beyond the grave. Deserves you right. Nip, my only living family, you'll get the lion's share of whatever is there, to be done with what you will. If you're not wanting to keep it, lawyer has been paid for any services you may require. Trust him, he's a good lad and saved my butt more than one occasion in the war. Nip's son will get a decent chunk to help with whatever you need, and your children will be provided for as well. To my mom, not once have I heard anything bad about you. You're getting a cut too, like it or lump it. OP, you've been a great help the last couple of weeks. I called you unfairly at 3 a.m. to help me out of the bath after finally giving up on getting myself out. Sorry you had to see that. You didn't have to help the next day with the decorating either. If you weren't already on your career path, you'd make a fine tradesman. You will receive a cut to be determined by the near future's events. Use it how you will. To the rest of you, I'm utterly freaking disgusted to have known you. I mentioned earlier that Eve can live in the house till she dies or is put into residential care. If either of these happens, nobody is to live in the house. I don't want anyone I don't trust in there. Now quit your crying and go about your lives. Hodge. As you can imagine, people kicked up a stink about this. We nodded to the lawyer and left. Shortly after the funeral, Eve went into a retirement home. With her own money, Hodges was locked up as per his request. She had more than enough to keep her afloat for many more years. A couple of months down the line, we all got called back to the lawyer's office, a little bemused. Again, we're directed to watch a video. Hodge, I'm not surprised that this video has been played. Some of you just don't follow orders. If you're watching this, it means that someone I don't trust was found to be living in my house. I don't give a freak who it is. Lawyer has instructions of what to do next. But for the sake of his voice and sanity, whoever was found in the house against my wishes is now stricken from the will entirely. If the others feel they want to share their money with you, that's their loss. You'll not get a penny from me. As it turns out, my cousin, who bullied me in school, and her family, as in her on and off boyfriend, 2 kids, and a dog, had moved into the house after convincing Eve to move out because they needed the house. What they hadn't counted on is nosy neighbors. Hodge asked them to watch the house, and if they saw anyone new in there or any signs of moving, to report to the lawyer for updates. In return, they'd get a cut of the money he had. They're good people. The lesson? Don't screw with a war vet. I really like Hodge. He seems like a no-nonsense kind of guy. I can get behind that. I rented a fake apartment and accidentally got pro-revenge. It was 2010. No. November 2009. And I was jamming to I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas and looking for a cheap apartment. I find a great ad in Craigslist and arrange for a viewing. I met the landlady, a portly shrew with a Betty Page haircut. I wasn't here for the company, however. It's not great looking, but it is cheap, so I tell her I am interested. She tells me the place is mine if I can get a deposit by the end of the day. Sweet! I rip to the bank and grab the $450 needed, a half a month's rent. She and I cross-sign a standard lease and ask when I can get a key to move in, and she says a couple days as the current tenant has yet to collect all of their stuff. So, I'm sleeping on the couch at a buddy's pad for now, and so I just chill, seeing sights, enjoying the first few weeks in a new city. A couple days roll by and I haven't heard from the landlady, so I get frustrated and leave a few salty voicemails. but alas, I was ghosted. Finally, she leaves me a voicemail and says she's sorry but cannot rent the place to me. I started to get angry, but I am a pretty cool customer, so I do the research, find out my rights in an unfamiliar new municipality, and discover that if someone backs out of a lease without legal reason, the other party is entitled to double the deposit they placed. So I figured she owes me about 900 clams. I leave more messages and emails, again with the ghosting, not answering the phone, no responses via email either. I get fed up. Now, I had just accepted a new job, but it didn't start until the turn of the month. I would guess it's about third week in November 2009. I have some spare time, so I hop on the bus, buy a magazine, and sit at the bus stop across from the rental house and just wait and wait. For a couple hours, I waited. But man, was it worth it. I see her showing the unit to another smart mark. I hold my cool and wait for her to finish with her newest renter and make my way over to the house to confront her. As soon as she sees me, she starts to wail about how the tenant changed their mind, blah, 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 and that's why she couldn't rent to me. I've had enough. I square my stance directly opposite this clearly upset charlatan. Now you listen to me. You will get me $900 as required by law by the end of the day, or I will go directly to the police station and let them deal with you. She turned white. For a minute, I thought she was going to puke on the ground right there in front of me. She says, "Hold on, I will get you your money." I remember thinking, crap, that was easier than I thought. She goes upstairs. The unit was a basement unit in the house she was living in. And I crap you not, hands me a wad of cash and says, "Here, this is ruining my Christmas, but here." She almost pushed me off balance as she jammed the messy wad of cash into me. "Thank you, good day," I say and take the money, count it, and walk away. I didn't turn around and look back. Got on the first bus that stopped nearby, heading back toward the direction of my friend's house. Not until I was home did I calm down and realize it was going to be a sweet Christmas, all thanks to a lying, phony cheapskate. However, this is not the end of the revenge. About a week later, I get a phone call from a friend asking me if the lady in the news is the same crazy lady I got the double damage deposit from. I'm like, what? Sure enough, it turns out this lady was running the same scam in parallel with a bunch of other victims. I am mortified, not just because I almost got scammed, but it immediately occurs to me that the money I got was someone else's money, and they are homeless for the holidays. I head right down to the police station where there is, I crap you not, a line of crying people filing reports about being scammed by this woman. I feel awful, and when it's my turn, I get to the intake officer and start to give my story. I lay it all down, how I fell for it, how I left a snotty voicemail, how I staked out the rental to confront her, my demand of double the money back, my threats of legal action against her, and finally the skillful execution of the law by getting double the deposit back. I tell the cop I took some of the money that belongs to the other victims, and she looks at me and says, "Man, you are the only one smart enough to confront her in a reasonable way. You earned that money. Don't worry about it." A young lady who is now homeless and desperate couldn't help but overhear, and as I am leaving the police station, she approaches me and says, "Hey, did you get your money back from that wrench?" To which I sheepishly reply, "Actually, I got double my deposit from her when I threatened her with the police." The girl blinks a couple times and finally grins, starts a slow clap, and announces to the other victims still waiting to give a statement in the lobby of the police station, "This guy took her for double the damage deposit." I cringed. But then, in the most unexpected turn of events, the line of victims began applauding. I suppose with the realization that their money was gone, someone had really screwed her back, and that made them happy. They cheered, I felt better, the cops laughed, and we all, there had to be about 20 people in all, had a joyful cosmic moment of holiday schadenfreude at her expense. I left the police station with a clean conscience and a smile on my face, and enjoyed every last penny of that worthless wrench's nasty stack. I may have clapped for OP, but you best believe I better have still got my money back. Sticking a girl who's been using me with a fat bill. I've really liked this girl for a while that I met at a lifeguard certification course. And I talked to her while I was there, and we, I thought, ended up hitting it off. We exchanged numbers and social media and all that, and we messaged for a few weeks before I asked her out to a movie, which she accepted. We'd been going on casual dates, nothing too serious, and we weren't hanging out at my place or her place, even though I'd hinted at the idea for a few weeks before one of her friends, someone that was also at the lifeguarding course that I had met and kept in contact with because he was cool, sends me this screenshot. I'm guessing it's like a nude or something sent to maybe the friend. Friend says, "Aren't you and OP going out now?" She says, "Not really, but as long as he keeps paying for everything, I'll let him take me out more. Girls gotta eat." And then I guess the friend says, "Oh, why you gotta do him like that?" She sends some emojis with their hands up like, "Oh, well." Anyways, back to the text on the screen. He said he felt bad for me because I was nice and that she does this often to other dudes. After seeing this, I asked her to go on a nice date with me to the Hibachi Grill restaurant. $20 to $40 plates and premium desserts are served here. I got the most expensive thing they had, and so did she. We both got fancy ice cream and multiple refills on drinks. I complimented her a lot and smiled consistently before getting up to go to the bathroom and leaving. I was also her ride. About 45 minutes after, I get furious texts from her saying that she had to have her mom come down and pay for it because she didn't have the money on her and that we were done. I know it's not a lot and it sucks because I thought she was actually into me, but it felt pretty nice leaving her that way. Hats off to the bro with the screenshot, coming through clutch. Alright, that's all we have for today. If you liked what you heard, subscribe and we'll be bringing you more content like this daily. Thanks for listening. Have an amazing day.